Okay, in this presentation, we're going to talk about apologetics and the university, and we're going to talk about the relationship between the role of apologetics and how it works on a college campus or a large university. Now, Dr. William Lane Craig, who is certainly the most well-known Christian apologist over the last 50 years or so, says here the single most important institution shaping Western culture is a university. He says, if we change university, we change our culture through those who shape culture. If the Christian worldview can be restored to a place of prominence and respect at the university, it will have a leavening effect throughout society. Now, some people may disagree with this quote. Some may say, well, we need to start with the home, and the home is where things change, and that is correct. However, the university has a large role in how people form their belief systems, and then they take those belief systems out into the culture. So his point should be well taken as to why we should have a strong apologetics presence on a college campus. Tim Keller says here in defining apologetics, he says apologetics is an answer to the why question after you've already given people an answer to the what question. The what question, of course, is what is the gospel? But when you call people to believe in the gospel and then they ask, why should I believe that? Then you need apologetics. And this is so important because sometimes people may say, well, why bother with apologetics on a college campus? Why not just preach the gospel and command people or tell people they need to trust in the gospel? Well, as Keller says here, you're kind of confusing the what and the why question. Many people want to know why they should believe the gospel or why is the gospel even true. So a lot of times we make assumptions. We need to remember that the what and the why need to go together, and they especially go together on a large college campus. Now, on a large college campus or university, there's no doubt that worldviews play a large role in how people form their belief systems. James Sires says here, our worldview is our set of presuppositions about the basic makeup of the world. A worldview is how you view reality. And there's no doubt within the setting of a university that many people form their worldviews in the classrooms and through hanging with their peer groups and just through social media, of course. But a worldview plays a large role in what happens on a college campus. Now, whatever worldview someone comes to believe in or whatever it is someone comes to hold to needs to address these four ultimate questions. Origins, where did the universe and human beings come from? Meaning, what is the meaning or purpose of life? Morality, how do we know right from wrong? And destiny, what happens to us after we die? There are other worldview questions as well, but these are certainly four of the most basic ones and four of the most important ones. And on a university campus, many people are hearing certain belief systems that play a role in how do they form a worldview and how they can answer these four questions. And as a scholar wrote back in Princeton Theological Review in 1913, he said something here that still makes sense today. He says, false ideas are the greatest obstacles to the reception of the gospel. We may preach with all the fervor of a reformer and yet succeed only in winning a straggler here and there. But if we permit the whole collective thought of the nation to be controlled by ideas which prevent Christianity from being regarded as anything more than a harmless delusion. And we need to understand on a large university, many idea systems are being presented, and many of these idea structures certainly play a role in how people view the gospel or how they view the biblical worldview. So let's look at a few of these competing worldviews that are out there. Of course, there is materialism, which says the only thing that matters in life is acquiring things. In the end, the one with the most toys wins. And there's no doubt that many people in our culture adhere to a materialistic worldview where they simply think the whole goal of life is just to accumulate, and then they'll die, and that's it. And then, of course, there's individualism, which says me first, that I am the most important thing in the world. And the goal of my life is to be happy. And if there is a God, the goal is that he makes me happy. Of course, there's hedonism, there's emotionalism, do what feels good, which says, I only pursue the things that make me feel good, and the purpose of life is to have fun. There's plenty of that going on. Of course, you have a lot of relativism on college campuses, which is the belief that all truth is relative, which is only determined by the individual or some group. You have subjectivism, which is the belief that all truth is subjective, being defined by the perspective of the individual. Of course, there's plenty of skepticism, which talks about the individual objections, the existence of God. People are very skeptical about many of the beliefs of the Christian worldview. We have perspectivism, which basically says that truth is found in someone's perspective of reality, or many combined perspectives of reality. Of course, we have pragmatism, which is out there, which is a belief that truth is ultimately defined by that which works to accomplish a best outcome. The end justifies the means. That means some people only believe things if it works for them, makes a difference in their life. They don't really care whether it's based in reality or whether it's even true, only if it works in their lives. And then there's objectivism, the belief that truth is an objective reality exists whether someone believes it or not. Now, when it comes to the existence of God, and it comes to whether Jesus rose from the dead, we are making an objective truth claim, and we think it is true whether someone believes it or not. Us believing it doesn't make it true, just like if you believe there's a Martian in your backyard, that does not make a Martian exist. You need evidence for that claim. So what we do on a college campus where I'm at in Columbus, Ohio, we go out to college campuses such as The Ohio State University, where we have an apologetics ministry there. We engage students on many levels. We talk to them about several worldview questions. These are some pictures of us out on the campuses. We have another ministry at Columbus State Community College where we go out and we set up a table and we talk to people during the day about specific worldview questions like we are here. And of course, many students will stop and talk to you. They'll ask you a lot of questions, so you have to be ready. You have to know what you believe and why you believe. You have to be able to articulate your faith to them. Here's another picture of us on the campus talking to a student. Of course, I could post pictures from many different days, but the point is that our goal is to go out and engage people and talk to them on a worldview level to see where they're at and they're thinking about God, the Bible, world religions, belief about Jesus, whatever it is. And we need to stop them where they are, or meet them where they're at and try to get their attention because they're very busy. And we try to communicate to them how important this question really is, these questions about worldview. Here's a couple questions we ask people on a college campus. Did Jesus rise from the dead? Of course, that leads to interesting conversations. Another one here, are you a good person? Of course, that leads to the discussion about who defines the good and what is a good person. Now, many people believe what they do on a college campus, just like everywhere else. They believe things because of sociological reasons, such as culture, friends, parents, and society. They may believe something because it has a psychological benefit to them. It brings comfort, hope, identity, meaning, and peace of mind. And then, of course, some people do believe things because of authority structures in the religious background, such as they learned something in a church or another religious institution or from an authority, such as a pastor, a rabbi, or a guru or something. So most of the time, people believe things that are in these categories. Of course, there's other reasons as well. But when you go on a college campus, these are some of the things that form people's belief systems. Now, of course, when you do apologetics on a college campus, there are many barriers to belief, different kinds of barriers. First and foremost, of course, people are spiritually blinded to the things of God. If there's people out there on a college campus, which there are, who have rejected the things of God or rejected the gospel, we know there's always going to be spiritual barriers because people are spiritually dead and opposed to the things of God. You also find there are a lot of emotional barriers where people have been hurt from their past, or maybe people have emotional issues with the biblical worldview. There's also intellectual barriers. Those are the skeptical objections that are out there. And then there are volitional barriers where people just simply don't want to follow God or follow Jesus, and they don't want to commit to him, so their will is in the way. Now, all these things go together, and you have to work through these issues with people on where they are on their journey as far as finding a relationship with God or who Jesus is. And when it comes to apologetics, the goal is that God would use us to remove these barriers that prevent the person from seeing the gospel, the light of the gospel. Many barriers go up, the walls between the person and the gospel. And our goal is to help remove these objections or help answer people's questions so they will see the light of the gospel. Some of the current challenges that are out there, I mentioned some before, but some other ones, there's no doubt there's a lot of confusion between tolerance and acceptance. A lot of people think if you don't accept their lifestyle or what they do with their behavior, it means you're not tolerant of them. And true tolerance can accept the person, but it doesn't necessarily mean we have to accept the behavior. And people seem to get those confused. Of course, we have an issue of technology. People have a hard time focusing on things in a short amount of time. They get very distracted. It's hard for them to think hard about anything such as God's existence. And that leads to, of course, the internet. Many people can just Google things online and look up debates or things about the existence of God and different worldviews. And, of course, maybe they'll just believe it because they read it on the internet. So that's a big challenge because we have information overload out there. And then, of course, politics plays a role on college campuses. A lot of people find their identity in political parties. And, of course, if you do have Christians on the campus, they're confused about the relationship between politics and faith. So these are just some of the current challenges on a college campus. There are many others besides this. And when it comes to approaching the existence of God on a large college campus, there's no doubt that many people don't know how to think about God. They've never really been taught what it means to think about whether there's a God or what approach they should take to find a God. Of course, there's many different approaches. Some people take a revelatory approach where God has revealed himself to them. Some people take a pragmatic approach where they try something and they think it works in their lives. So perhaps they try Jesus, Muhammad, or Buddha or something, and it seems to make a difference. So that's why they believe what they do. There's still many people out there that take a scientific approach. They think that if you can't show them scientifically it matches reality, then it must not be true. And then there are other approaches such as historical and existential approaches to the existence of God, where we look into history to see if God's spoken somewhere in a written text, or we may look for existential needs to be satisfied in God, such as meaning, purpose, identity, things like that. So a lot of students just don't know how to approach the existence of God on a college campus. Some students who are Christians were not taught it in the churches they grew up in, or some students never learned it at all. And so unless they take a philosophy of religion class, they really don't know much about it. But we do apologetics on a college campus to help people work through this question. That's why we're there. And sometimes we will have large events on a college campus with a scholar or debate or apologetic speaker who can help students work through this question or work through these issues about how to approach the existence of God. And in many cases, many students have never seen a public presentation on the biblical worldview or on a topic such as the existence of God or whether Jesus rose from the dead. And these presentations that we do, these events, help students to hopefully finally think about this issue, or get them to work through the question, and it can really show them that there are good reasons to believe in the biblical worldview and that it does match reality. We also have weekly meetings on a college campus. This is one of our apologetics meeting, and we talk about issues such as the existence of God or the reliability of the Bible or different world religions or truth or philosophical issues. And these questions or these topics help students work through these issues. It gives them the ability and the tools to think about these issues, and we desire to have a weekly presence on a college campus. It doesn't do any good just to have an event once a year. You need to have a weekly presence, and that's what we do at the Ohio State University and Columbus State Community College. So just remember that apologetics plays a large role in a college campus, and for the years to come, as the internet explodes and there's more information out there, apologetics will be needed on the college campuses. And so I encourage you to get involved with us here in Columbus, Ohio, if you want contact us at thinkapologetics.com, or obviously you can find us online at ratiochristi.org. But we are here to help you, and I hope you've taken some things away as to why apologetics matters on a college campus. Have a good day.